Oh, hello, good morning, everyone. Can you hear me and can you see my screen? Kindly type in the hi in the comment section. So let's be on the same page on this one. If you can hear me clearly and you can see my screen, kindly type in hi in the comment section. So let's be on the same page. Oh, great. Good morning. Good morning, Sari, Carrie. Good morning. Dada, good morning. Thank you for that confirmation. Oh, that's great. Thank you very much. So let's kickstart the session. And before we do, thank God it's Friday. We are finally at the end of the trading week, and I want to welcome you all to yet another promising edition of Extreme Speed Life, hosted by my humble self, Sheriff Daramola. And I shall be taking you on a trading journey where we shall be evaluating the financial market using various parameters, market structures, identification of patterns, and we shall be using this to decipher and look out for trading opportunities lining up for us during the New York session today. So now with the scenario we are having right now, as we are on the last day of the trading week, as we are on the last day of the trading week, it is very, very important that I make mention here that we want to be very mindful of the trades we are going to be taking today. And in addition to that, it's most important to say here that we are today we have releases that is going to have a major impact on the market, and we have the non-farm payroll today. If we look at the economic calendar, we have three major releases that's going to be happening today, and we want to be very, very mindful of how we are going to be taking our position. But I'll be giving you an advice in that regard. So we have the non-farm payroll today, which is going to be coming up in the next 2 hours. And we're expecting, the consensus is saying that 250,000. So that's going to be lower than what we had last month. So let's see what is going to be happening today, if we are going to be below expectation or we are going to exceed expectation. And this is going to be influential in determining how we are going to be trading. But one thing we want to be doing on the USD pairs is to identify the structures, and we shall be waiting for that signal which might come during the time the non-farm payroll comes up. Then we also have a situation on CAD, and that is the net change in employment as well. That's another in the next 2 hours too, that is going to be coming up. And the same thing, we have the CAD unemployment, which is also coming up in the next 2 hours. So let's see how price action is going to play out in the next couple of hours. Let's see how price action is going to play out in the next couple of hours on the CAD. I'm not sure if we have anything on CAD today, but let's see. So with that said, let's dive into the chart and let's see what is happening at this point in the market. And before I proceed, I want to say this, that if you have any pair or commodity you want us to look at for today, feel free to drop it in the comment section, and I will try as much as possible to squeeze it into my schedule for today. So with no much further ado, let's dive into the chart and let's see what is happening here. So the first pair we're going to be deliberating on today is the US oil. Okay, 359, good morning to you. Glad to have you around. Okay, so the first pair we are going to be deliberating on today is the new US oil. Sorry, kindly give me like a couple of seconds, please. I want to give me a moment, please. So I'm back. I'm sorry for the break in transmission. So let's start. Let's kickstart. So okay, Ashitaka is saying something in the comment section. Ashitaka wants us to do oil on gold. Well, we of course we are doing oil. That's the first thing we are doing, and we're also doing gold as well. And Tech 100 is part of our schedule. So stay tuned in so that you can be part of the session. So So on the US oil, it was a very interesting scenario we had yesterday. Remember, we had this breakdown of that structure, which gives us that signal on lower time frame. Look at what we have here. If we scale down to a much lower time frame, we saw the breakdown. Hold on a second. So we saw the breakdown here on the US oil. We saw the breakdown. We saw the retest of structure. We had a reversal pattern here. Then we moved to the downside from here. So we took that trade. If you are taking that trade, kudos to you. So right now you would have made around let's see 300 pips here thereabout, and price is still insinuating that it still wants to go to the downside. And what is going to be our plan going forward? Well, we already have a breakdown of structure and price. We had a breakdown of structure here. Price came back, rejected the $87.60 level, and then we had one thing that looks like a double bottom structure, which is not yet to be confirmed, as it only be confirmed if we see a significant breakout and retest of structure to join any rally here. So for me on the US oil, I want us to be very mindful of how we are going to be taking a trade on this one today. As long as according to what we've had since the beginning of the week, we are very profitable. We took advantage of this move. I think we took this move, the first one here, and then we took advantage of this downward trend on Monday. Yes, we took this downward move on Monday. We took this move on Wednesday, I guess, and then we took this move yesterday. So we are very profitable on the US oil. So we don't want to be in a rush to enter any unnecessary trade at this point, as we want to wait to see how price action is going to relate with this level before we take advantage of any trading opportunity here. So let's scale up to a higher time frame. Let's see what's happening so that we can see if we have a structure to play around with. If we look left, we can see we have a structure here. Hold on a second. We have a structure here. That's around February of this year, where price actually did a bullish momentum to the upside from that area. And right now we are right back at that same level, and let's see how price is going to react to this level. So one thing we want to be doing is to identify that level at this point, which is more or less a strong a demand zone area, which we want to look forward to see how price is going to react with that level. So let's scale back to the smaller time frame, that is the 1 hour time frame here. So we are right here now, and we are based on the information we have on the higher time frame, we are right within a very strong demand level. And let's see how price action is going to play out here. So my advice at this point is that we should hold on. So one thing I want to do here is to delete all this one, as they are no longer relevant. So let's see how price action is going to play out here. So if we have a breakout of structure and a retest of structure, there is a possibility that price could go to the upside from here. But for me, what I will be saying here is let's allow this trade to pass for this week. We're already profitable for the week. So let's see how price is going to play out today, and then on Monday we shall come back here and make our speculation for the New York session. So that is my verdict on the US oil. So I hope I made myself clear. I hope I made myself clear on this one. Okay, so let's move on to the next pair. The next one is the UK oil, and then the UK oil, we also have a similar scenario with what we have on the US oil. We were able to take that move to the downside from here, giving us about how many pips that is, around 300 350 pips here. So that is something at least for the weekend. And right now, hold on a second, let's delete this and let's scale up to the to a daily time frame, to a higher time frame. Let's see what structure is giving us at this point. So looking left, we can see that we still have a structure around this level. We have a structure around this level, and the February, almost the same scenario with what we have on the US oil. And so now we want to see how price action is going to react with that level before we can make a decision on this one. So the same thing I'll be doing here on the UK oil is that let us pass the trade. Let's this trade pass, and let's see how price action plays out today, and whatever happens on Monday, we shall be able to make a speculation in that regard. So on the UK oil too as well, let's pass this trade. But if you are still in that bearish momentum, what I'll be saying here is to move your stop loss to somewhere at around 95 $96 level, and let's see if price is going to be continuing to the downside from this area. So move your stop loss to lock in some profit, so that you don't get caught up in a sudden reversal pattern that could take you out of your position in a loss. So what we want to be doing here, move your stop loss to break even. Let's see if price will continue to run into the structure we have at the descending channel here. So that is that on the UK oil. So let's move on to the GBPUSD. So on the GBPUSD, I hope you took advantage of that move yesterday. Remember, we were in a bearish momentum yesterday where price action, let me show you what we talked about here yesterday. So yesterday we saw this breakdown of structure. We saw the breakdown of this bullish trend line. And remember, though we've been expecting a bullish momentum on the GBPUSD since Monday, but unfortunately, after we saw that breakout that happened on Monday here, we saw the breakout of that key level of 1.219 here on Monday, which we took advantage of, but price came back into the entry point, and we were expecting price to continue to the upside from here, but unfortunately we were taken out with a loss on this trade as price broke down that bullish trend line. And I told you that if price breaks down that bullish trend line, that is a structure that has been broken, that is a signal that we want to look out for a confirmation in the form of a retest of that structure, which later happened during the course of the live session yesterday. I told you, I shared this with you during the live session yesterday, and I said a reversal pattern on lower time frame should give us that momentum drive we are looking for, and price action went in our direction, went in the direction we speculated. Now, remember, our take profit target was supposed to be at the key level at 1.20500 area, which is around this point, but we yet to see price come into that zone. So what we want to be doing here is to wait. If you are taking that move, if price has moved in the direction, right now we have another opportunity. If you had missed this move here, that is this move to the downside from here, what's happening to my, okay, if you had missed this move from down to this place, then we have another setup here, as we have another reversal pattern like a double top structure around this point, as price was unable to break the previous high, and also this is also right under the key level at 1.21900 area. So I want to be taking another selling opportunity right below this level at 1.21344 area into that 1.2055500 point. So you could stop loss could be right above the previous structure, so that we can and that should be giving us about how many, let's see, that's like 40 pips thereabouts. That's 40 pips thereabouts stop loss to a potential take profit target of about a minimum of 80 pips. That's a risk to reward of 1 to 2, so which is quite reasonable at this point. So as long as price is right below that bullish trend line, a bearish momentum is still very possible at this point. Now the other scenario we want to be looking out for here is that if we see a bullish momentum right from this level, that price moves out of the 1.219 area, and that is a signal that we want to be going bullish. So we want to wait for price action to give us that confirmation, which will come in form of a retest of the 1.21900 level, after which we look out for patterns on lower time frame to give us that confirmation we are going to the upside. And if that happens, then we want to have our take profit target, at least for the meantime, at around the resistant level, the bearish trend line we identified on the daily time frame, which is around the 1.23 area, 1.232 area for now. And let's see how price will relate to that level. If price finally breaks out of that level, that is out of that bearish trend line, then a retest should give us further confirmation to add more position to our existing trade. So this is the scenario we're looking for on the GBPUSD. So we have two scenarios already. I told you that we could be taking advantage of a selling opportunity right now. If you had missed that first move that happened yesterday, we could be taking advantage of another bearish momentum right below the structure here. Right below the structure here at 1.21400 area, we could be taking any selling opportunity at this point with a risk reward ratio of 1 to 2. We have from here to here is around 80 pips, and we have our stop loss right below the previous structure, and that should give us something to take home today if price continues to that direction. However, I made mention that if we are going to be buying the GBPUSD, I want to see price break out of that 1.219 area, and the reason why I want price to break out of the 1.219 area is simply because that area has been a very significant level for sellers. As anytime price comes into that area, as we can see in the past, sellers took advantage of that move and pushed price to the downside. We saw the scenario here. We saw the scenario here. We saw the sharp rejection at this point also during the course of yesterday's trading session. So one thing we want to be doing if we want to buy this pair is to see that a bullish momentum takes out all the selling positions on that 1.21900 area, and that will give us a signal. And remember, we are not getting too excited at the sight of a signal, as we want to wait for price action to come back into the key level at 1.219 area, and then we look out for patterns that support a trend continuation to take advantage of that bullish momentum. So for me on this one, as long as price is still oscillating right below the 1.219 area, it is advisable to stay off any buying opportunity here, considering what is happening since the beginning of the week. It has been very bearish since the beginning of the week. So we want to see a breakout of that structure, that 219 area, if any buying opportunities ever going to come up on this one, on the GBPUSD. So that's what we are going to be looking out for today on the GBPUSD. So if you have questions or you need further clarifications on the GBPUSD, feel free to drop in a word or two in form of an inquiry, and I will be willing to be of help. Then let's move on to the next pair we deliberated on, and that's on the gold. And on the gold, we actually hit take profit target on the gold yesterday. We had two scenarios. Yesterday I made mention of this move. We were able to identify this bullish trend line during the course of yesterday's live session, remember? And I told you that we were actually around this point yesterday when we were doing the live session. We were around this area yesterday when we were doing the live session. And one thing I said was that if you had missed that move that we took the previous day, that is before yesterday, that we should wait for a rejection of that bullish trend line to take advantage of any trend continuation to the upside. And lo and behold, that actually happened. We saw a sharp rejection of that level, and price moved in the upside direction as expected. So if you are taking advantage of that move, kudos to you for being on standby to take advantage of that bullish potential here on the XAUUSD as price went into our take profit target zone, which was around the $1,790 area. And if you had extended, okay, I think the maximum point we are looking at is $1,800 area, and as soon as price got to this level, if you are still in this trade, you want to get out of this trade at this point as the trend line has been broken. We saw the breakdown of that bullish trend line around this point, giving us a sign that we might be having a reversal setup at this point in time. So with this scenario here, what is going to be our trade, what's going to be our plans for the New York session today? So let's quickly look at what we have here. Hold on a second, let me delete this. Let's delete this and scale up to a much higher time frame. And on the higher time frame, if we look at the structure we have here on the higher time frame, it's very obvious that we are on a long-term bearish momentum. And as soon as price tested the 1,795 level with this area, that is this area here. Hold on a second, let's identify that level. As soon as price tested this level at $1,795 area, we begin to see reversal structures, and that reversal structure led to the breakdown of that bullish trend line on the 1 hour time frame. But before we go back to the 1 hour time frame, I want to call our attention to something I identified here on the 4 hours time frame. The first thing I observed here is this. We saw this bearish move from here, and price came into $1,753 level to give us a reversal pattern in the form of a double bottom structure. We can see the first rejection, the second rejection here, and price broke out of structure to give us that impulsive move to the upside here. So one thing we want to see here, the $1,770 level, which was our key level prior into the movement of that bullish drive, appears to be serving as our neckline at this point. And one thing we all understand from a technical perspective is that if price does a reversal pattern in the form of a double bottom structure or a double top structure, we want to see a breakout and a retest of that neckline to give us further confirmation that we are going bullish. So one thing we want to be doing, since we already have the breakout of that neckline at the $1,770 level, we want to wait for price action to come back into that key level around the 1,770. It could be around here at the 1,773, $1,770 area. Then we look out for patterns on lower time frame to join the trend continuation to the upside. So how do we intend taking advantage? Are we going to wait for price action to come here, or do we have a counter trend opportunity that we could take advantage of at around this area here? So let's scale down to a lower time frame to see if we can take advantage of any counter trend opportunity. And when I mean counter trend opportunity, an opportunity that is the opposite direction of the present trend. So now we scale down to the 1 hour time frame, and now let's go back to the bullish trend line we identified earlier. Yesterday we saw this bullish trend line which has been holding price action, but during the early hours of today it was broken to the downside. So one thing I want to be looking forward to is this. There are two scenarios here. If we want to sell the XAUUSD, that is a counter trade opportunity, then one thing I want to be looking forward to is a further breakdown of this level at $1,785. Why $1,785? Why? Okay, that's a good question. The reason why that is if you go left, we can see that we have a resistance point here where price action was rejected by the sellers at this point, and around this point as well, before we saw the breakout, we saw a sharp rejection, giving us a clue into the presence of a selling momentum evolving behind the scenes before we saw that actual breakout. And price is right back at the zone at this point. So we want to see how price is going to relate with this level as we head into the New York session. So there are two possibilities here. Price could either reject that level and push to the upside, or we could have a breakdown of that level. So if we have a breakdown of this level at $1,785 level, then that's going to give us a signal that we are probably having a reversal pattern back into the neckline of the double bottom structure we identified on the higher time frame. Remember, we identified this double bottom structure here. Let me show you again. We identified this double bottom structure here where price broke out of that structure, and we're expecting price to come back and do a retest of that neckline. So if this is going to be happening, that is price is coming back to do a retest of that neckline, then we want to see price actually do a breakout of the structure, that is the 1785 level. Remember, we are not getting too excited at the sight of a signal. We want to be patient enough to wait for price action to give us confirmation, and the confirmation can come in form of a rejection of this level, that is price comes back to do a retest of this level, or it could go as far as doing a retest of that level that was rejected during the early hours of today, that is the $1,795 level. Then we look out for patterns on lower time frame to join the decline into the neckline area. So the decline can go as far as this bearish trend line here, but one thing I will be saying here is that we shouldn't be too over ambitious. As soon as price gets into this level, for me personally, my first take profit will be around this level. So, but if you want to stay on till price gets into this area, then if price gets into this level, you want to move your stop loss to either break even or lock in some profit and see if actually price is going to break below into that bearish trend line here. So that is the first scenario we're looking for. But if you are a long-term trader, you don't do short-term, then you want to be patient. You want to be patient and wait for price action to either come down into this level, and then we look out for reversal patterns to join the rally to the upside. So that is one scenario. And so let's see what's going to happen during the New York session. Let's see what's going to happen during the New York session. If we further have a breakdown, then we might be having a move into this area. But if we have a breakout of the $1,795 level, that is, if price breaks out of this level, that is, takes out all the selling positions here, then that is a signal that we are going bullish. And remember, we are not getting too excited at the sight of a signal. We want to wait for price action to come back and do a retest of the structure. It could be come back as far as this, or it could do a retest of the $1,795 level before we see the rally into the upside area. So if that happens, then our take profit target should be right at the bullish trend line we identified on the daily time frame. That's around this area, that is between the $1,820 and the $1,830 area, appears to be most appropriate for any bullish potential here on the XAUUSD. And you might be asking, what is this bullish trend line here? Let's go up to the daily time frame and I will show you vividly what that is, and look at it here. So we have this bullish trend line that has been holding price action since the beginning of the year. Let me give you a visual representation. Okay, we have this bullish trend line that has been holding price action since the beginning of the year, before we saw the breakdown of that bullish trend line during the early days of the month of July. And from a technical perspective, we expect price to come back and do a retest of that bullish trend line. So if price actually coming back to do the retest of that bullish trend line, then definitely our take profit target should be around that area. So that's what I identified on the lower time frame. So if price now comes into this level and we see a reversal pattern, we could be going to the downside, or if price breaks out, then we could be looking forward to a trend continuation to the upside. But till then, for now, we want to have our take profit target right around that bullish trend line. And let's go back to the 1 hour time frame. So between the $1,820 and the $1,830 level appears to be most appropriate if we have a breakout of the $1,795 here. So this is the scenarios we are looking forward to on the gold. So if you have any question whatsoever, feel free to drop a word or two in the comment section and let us look at it together. So what must buy now? I don't understand what you mean. What must buy now on Forex? I don't understand what you mean. Please kindly clarify that statement, hi Max, and I'll be waiting to read your comment. So that is what we're looking forward to on the XAUUSD. Then we went on to talk about the US tech yesterday, and I don't know if anyone took advantage of that move. It actually went as expected. Let's scale down to the lower time frame where we identified a pattern that we were looking forward to a retest of that structure. So let's delete all these ones. So we had a structure here yesterday. We were around this point yesterday during the course of yesterday's trading session. We were around here yesterday, and we witnessed this breakout of structure here. The price moves to the upside. So I told you to be patient enough. If you want to join that rally, we should be patient enough to wait for price action to come back and do a rejection of either the key level at $13,200 level, or probably reject that bearish trend line, after which we look out for reversal pattern to join the rally, which happened as expected. So price moved in that direction as expected on the US tech, and presently, if you are still in that trade, you will definitely be running with about at least a minimum of 1,000 pips right now. And if you are not in that trade, you have taken off your you've taken your take profit target, then it's okay. It's okay. So let's see what is happening today. What are we going to be doing today on the US tech? Is there any possibility of trading the US tech today? Let's look at what we have here. So right now we have a structure at 13,200 level, which I'm of the opinion should be a guide going forward. And then if we look further into our left, we see that we have another level at 13,300. Yes, is it 13,392.90? Yes, that's another one. So let us label this level 13,392.90, and it appears price action is right on that level at this point. So what do we want to be doing here? So we're going to be having a rejection of that level. That is, price is going to continue to the upside from here. Hold on a second. Are we going to see price continue to the upside from here, or are we going to see a breakdown of that level? So that depends on what happens in the next couple of hours. But one thing I want to be saying here is this: the only reason why we want to be buying from the 13,290 level is that if we see a reversal pattern, that is a double bottom structure here, we see a double bottom structure here, then we can take a buy at a breakout retest of structure to the upside. And if that happens, where will our take profit target be? Well, if we look left, we have an impulsive leg. We have an impulse leg here that took price from, where is that, from 13,170 into 13,360 area before we saw that retracement move. Then we can be extending this impulse leg into the future, and if we extend it to the future, we should be aiming at the 127.2. So what we want to do here is to bring out our Fibonacci extension tool and run it through that previous impulse leg. And what do we have? We aim at a 127.2 and 1414 area, and we have around this area as our take profit target if any buying opportunity comes in. So TP target, let's label this level. So I'll make it a yellow. So we have our TP target here. Now, when to buy is now the problem. When to buy and how to buy. Now, since we already have that impulse leg, in order to confirm, we already have this impulse leg here. In order to confirm our buying, where to buy here, let us look for a retracement into our golden zone area, which is between the 50 and the 78.6% of the previous impulse leg. So if we bring our Fibonacci retracement to here and run it through that impulse leg, we should have somewhere around here so now the first scenario I made mention earlier is that if we see a double bottom structure here, we can buy at a breakout retest of that structure. That's if we see a double bottom structure. But if price breaks down this 13,290 level, price breaks down, we could have a rejection. Price comes into the buy zone here, anywhere around here, that is between the $13,260 and $13,200 area. If we see price come into this area, most important thing we want to see here is a reversal pattern. We want to see a reversal pattern to buy the US tech, and if we are buying anywhere, if it's right above the 13,290 or within this area, our TP target remains around the 13,400 area on a long-term perspective. So this is the scenario we are looking forward to on the US tech. Ashitaka, I hope I made myself clear. If you have any questions, feel free to drop a word or two in the comment section, and let's see how we can relate on it. So two scenarios already on the US tech. Buy at a reversal pattern at 13,290. We wait for a reversal pattern on our lower time frame to buy it from 13,290. But if that does not happen, we see a breakdown of 13,290, then we want to wait for price action to come into the buy zone here to do a reversal pattern so that we can take advantage of that trend continuation to the upside. So that is another scenario we want to look out for on the US tech for today. So next week we could be having another scenario to look for. So let's see if there are any questions whatsoever. So I'll be taking the next 10 to 15 seconds off to read the comments and see if there are any questions whatsoever to be that needs more light to be shed on my last discussion. Hi 492. Okay. Hit 10. Hello. Okay. In the absence of no questions, I want to assume that we all understand what I've explained so far. So let's move on. We deliberated on the USDCHF yesterday, where we were expecting the selling momentum, and lo and behold, price has moved as expected. So during the course of yesterday's trading session, I was able to identify a key level for us at 0.9600 level, and we actually saw something that looks like a reversal pattern. During the course of our live session yesterday, we saw price hit a peak at 0.96500, came to the 0.96 level, rejected it, but was unable to break or find a new high. So we had a higher low, a lower high rather, and then I told you we should be waiting for price to break down the 0.96 level, do a retest of the 0.96 level, and boom, price went to the downside. So if you are taking advantage of that opportunity, apparently you will be in about 50 pips, 53 pips thereabouts in profit at this point in time. So what we want to be doing here is to lock in some profit. So what I'll be doing here is this: I want to move our stop loss to 0.9750 area. That is this level here, somewhere around here. And the reason why that is, I will show you in a moment. Okay, So we can see we had rejections of that level here. We had a rejection of that level here. And then we had this level, same here. It was a demand zone here. And see what is happening here. Look at the level. Look at the level. See how important that level is. So what I want to be looking forward to is if price breaks above that level, then we might be having a change in direction. This now turns out to be a reversal pattern, as is a double bottom structure. And if price breaks above that level, then we now realize that we might be going to the upside from here. So a retest will give us further confirmation to join the rally. So one thing I'll be saying here is move your stop loss to this point, 0.95770 area, and let's see how price is going to play out during the New York session. And okay, so we were actually thinking that price will still go as far as retesting this bearish trend line here, but I'm not sure if that is going to be happening. Let's see what happens around this level. Let's see if price is going to break this previous structure here. If price breaks this previous structure, then we can be thinking of a downtrend continuation into that bearish trend line. So let's wait and see. Let's wait and see what happens. But if we have a breakout, please remember, if we have a breakout of that structure, please ensure you have moved your stop loss to this area I just shared with you. And if price breaks above, then that could be a signal that we want to be going bullish, and a retest of structure should give us further confirmation to join the rally, at least into the 0.967, at least for today, is most appropriate. And that should be dovetailing to a minimum of, let's see how many pips that is, a minimum of 95 pips to catch here. And so that is the scenario we are looking forward to on the USDCHF. So if you have any questions, feel free to drop a word or two in the comment section, and let's see how that plays out. 359 wants us to do GBPCAD. Okay, I will look at that after the USDCHF now. Are there any questions on the USDCHF? If there are any questions, please feel free to drop a word or two in the comment section. Okay, so in the absence of none, let's move on to the next pair. So 359 wants us to do GBPCAD. So let's zoom into GBPCAD. Let's see what's happening on the GBPCAD. Okay, on the GBPCAD, so what I want to be doing here is to scale up to the higher time frame. Let's start from, let's see what is happening on the higher time frame. So if we move on to the daily time frame, what do we have here? It is obvious that price action has been on a long-term bearish momentum. At least since the beginning of the year, price has continued to find lower lows and lower highs. And one thing we want to observe here is that since the month of June, we saw that bearish move since the month of June, and price came into the 1.53500 level, and we had multiple rejection of that level by the buyers, giving us a clue into the strength of the buyers at this point in time. And one thing we'll notice here is that price continued to find higher highs and higher lows since the later part of the month of July, which led into the breakout of that bearish trend line, giving us a signal that we might be having a bullish momentum. And interesting enough, after the breakout of that structure, what did we notice? We saw that price came back to do a retest of that bearish trend line during the course of yesterday's trading session. We saw that bullish candle, though it wasn't an engulfing candle, but it's a sign of a bullish potential as the candle closed with something that looks like an hammer candle. So we're expecting that trend continuation should come in from this point on the higher time frame. So now, how do we take advantage of that move? Well, we need to scale down to a much lower time frame so that we can see what structure is actually giving us. So if we scale down to, let's say, the 1 hour time frame at this point, and then this is what we have here. No, first of all, let's just do the 4 hours time frame. So that I want to share with you a key level which I identified here, and look at what we have here. Look at what we have here. This is the demand zone I shared with you on the daily time frame, that as soon as price got into the 1.535 level, we saw multiple rejection of that level. We saw this bearish move, and we saw multiple rejection of that level, giving us something that looks like a double bottom structure. And then we had a key level at 1.55700, which is also the neckline of this reversal pattern. Now we saw a breakout of that reversal pattern. We saw a rejection of that reversal pattern. Price went up again. We saw a rejection of that neckline one more time, giving us a clue into the strength of the buyers at this point. Now the other scenario is this. Look left. We can see that this area, the neckline area, has been a supply niche at least since the beginning of the month of July. We can see we had multiple selling options right from that area. The same thing happened here before we saw that breakout of that structure. So now that we have the scenario of a break above, that is, price took out all the sell positions at that level to give us that signal that we are going bullish. Now we have a retest of that structure, the bearish trend line, and also the key level at 1.5700 level. A very good confluence. Now we want to be looking for a bullish potential. Now, going into the New York session today, how do we now take advantage of that bullish potential opportunity? Now, well, before I do that, I want to identify a key level that will guide our action during the New York session today. And one thing I want to be doing is to connect this highs, and that is around the 1.56350 level. So that's 1.56350 level. So that's the level we want to be looking forward to as our key level for this for the New York session. And if we look left, we can see how that level has been an area where sellers come in to push price to the downside. So we saw a breakout of that level. That area became a demand zone here. We saw a breakout, and it appears we're having selling momentum around that same level one more time. So that area appears to be a selling niche for participants in this market. So what we want to be doing now, if we want to be mindful of how we want to take advantage of any bullish potential here, is that we want to see a significant breakout of that level. If we see a significant breakout of that level, that's an engulfing candle, then remember, we don't get too excited, as we want to wait for price action to come back and give us a retest of that structure before we join that rally. Now let's scale down to, before we scale down to 1 hour time frame, I want to share with you what I was able to do here. I was able to identify a bullish trend line here also. This green dotted line here. Let me give you a visual representation of what I'm talking about. We saw how price has been respecting that bullish trend line since the beginning of the month of July, though we had a breakdown here and a rejection, then immediately price broke above that bullish trend line to continue to respect that bullish trend line. Though we had a breakdown here as well, so we want to see price break above that bullish trend line, which I've showed you here. We want to see an engulfing candle break above that bullish trend line, then price comes back to do a retest of that structure. It could be the retest of that bullish trend line or retest of the key level we just identified, 1.56350 level. Then we want to take advantage of a bullish momentum from that point. So that's how I intend taking advantage of this bullish momentum here on the GBPCAD. And where will our take profit target be? At least in the meantime, let's look at the previous high. We have a previous high here that is around the 1.57700 area, which would dovetail to around 140 pips. Let's see what happens at this level. So if we have a further breakout of that structure, then we wait for confirmation to add more position to our existing trade. So this is the what we'll be looking forward to on the GBPCAD. So we are looking for buy opportunity here on the GBPCAD. So let's wait and see how price action is going to react with this level. So let me do a recap. I'm waiting for price to break above this bullish trend line. Then that gives me a signal that we are going bullish. Then we wait for further confirmation in the form of a retest of this area or the structure or this level to join the rally into the upside. So that is the scenario I'm looking forward to. And if we look at this structure very, very well, it looks more like a reversal pattern you have. If you look at this bearish impulsive move to the downside, we look at this left shoulder, you see the head pattern, and then we see something that looks more like the right shoulder here, and that gives us something that looks more like an inverse head and shoulder pattern, which from a technical perspective is also a very strong reversal pattern. So let's see how price action is going to play out from this point. I hope I made myself clear. 359. If you have any question, feel free to drop make your inquiry in the comment section, and I will be willing to be of help. So I think this is going to be the last pair we are going to be deliberating on today. Okay, let me wait for like 5-10 seconds to see if there are any question, and if 359 is still around, please drop a comment. Let me know that you are with me. Okay, great. I'll take that as an acknowledgement that you understand what I have just explained. So thanks for that confirmation. So let's move on to do a quick recap of what we deliberated on today, and then we call it a day. So the first pair we deliberated on today was the US oil, and on the US oil we made some profits. In fact, this week was a profitable week for us on the US oil, and I told you to allow the structure here to continue to evolve for us to see how we are going to plan for the next week. So whatever happens here will determine how we are going to be taking a trading opportunity during the next week. So I would advise you to pass this trade, but if you are still in that bearish momentum that we took advantage of yesterday, one thing I won't be saying here is move your stop loss to break even, probably somewhere around the $89.50 area, and then ride this move to the downside as it's going. So that is for those who have not yet closed their position on the US oil. So you can continue to ride that, but ensure you lock in your profit or move your stop loss to break even so that you don't get caught up in any sudden reversal. Now that is that on the US oil. So on the UK oil as well, we have a similar scenario. I told you to pass this trade, and let's see how price action is related with this level, and whatever happens here will determine what we are going to be doing during the next week. You are already in this trade since yesterday from this point, and if you are still in that trade, move your stop loss to somewhere around the $95.50 area, and let's see how price action is going to continue. If we are going to see a break below the structure, then you could be adding more position at a retest of that structure. That is breakdown, retest, and you can join the decline. So that is that on the UK oil. Then we went on to talk about the GBPUSD, where I shared with you how we took advantage of that bearish momentum yesterday. If you are taking that move, kudos to you yesterday, and you might have locked in some profit, but I think we still have another opportunity unfolding before our highs here, as we have price come back into that breakout structure, which is right below the key level at 1.219 area, and it appears we are seeing something that looks like a reversal pattern around this area. So one thing I'm saying here is that we want to wait for price to do a breakdown, retest of structure on lower time frame to join the trend continuation to the downside here. However, if you are thinking of buying the GBPUSD, I will advise that you pause for a moment and wait for price action to break out of the 1.219 level, which I identified during the early hours of the week. Want to see price break above that level, taking out all the selling position at this area, and if that happens, then we want to wait for confirmation. Remember, we are not getting too excited at the sight of a signal. We want to wait for price action to come back into our key level at 1.219 to give us that further confirmation to join the rally into the upside. And if we are joining the rally to the upside, where will our take profit target be? Yes, exactly, right around that bearish trend line here, which is between the 1.23 1.235 area. Appears most appropriate to take advantage of a take profit target. Then we moved on to the gold. On the gold, we already have a breakdown. Very good. Okay, no, we don't have a breakdown yet. Hold on. I thought we already have a breakdown. Okay, that's the key level we are looking forward to. We have three scenarios that we cited here okay, we already have a breakdown already. So we already have a breakdown here. So we have three scenarios we cited here. I said we're on a bullish momentum since the beginning of the month. We had the reversal pattern here. We had a double bottom structure here, and price broke out of that structure, and that was the move we took advantage of yesterday, 2 days ago, and we are in profit on the XAUUSD for the week too as well. But one thing we noticed here was that price broke down that bullish trend line that has been guiding our action since the beginning of the week. And now, since we have a breakdown, and we have a breakdown of the 1785 level, and the reason why I put in the 1785 level is because of the structure where price has respected in the past. If we look left, we can see that price respected that level. We saw our price respected that level too at the same time, and right now it appears we have a little breakdown of that level. So I'm not sure how this candle is going to close. This new candle here, I'm not sure how it's going to close. If we are still going to have a further bearish engulfing candle, if that happens, please don't get too quick to enter the trade. Remember, we are waiting for signals and confirmations before we want to join any potential move. So I said we wait for price to break down this level, and then we see a retest of either this level, or probably price comes back into the $1,795 level, where we look out for a reversal pattern to join the decline into the neckline of this reversal pattern here, where we want to be looking forward to a bullish potential from that point. So that is the first scenario, and that is for those who like doing counter trend opportunity. But if you are not a counter trend trader, then you want to wait for price action to come back to do a retest of the neckline of the reversal pattern we identify here, and then we look out for reversal patterns on lower time frame to join the rally into the upside. Now, the other scenario, the final scenario we have here is that, okay, if price does not go back down or not break down below this level or give out a retest, and if price just breaks out of the 1795 level, then that is a signal we want to be looking forward to. And if that happens, remember, we're not getting too excited at the sight of a signal, as we want to wait for price action to come back and do a retest of structure, where we look out for patterns on lower time frame that support a trend continuation to the upside. And if that happens, where will our take profit target be? Exactly, the bullish trend line we identified here on the daily time frame is where our take profit target is going to be. So around the 1,810 or 820, $830 area seems most appropriate to take our profit target at. So now we went ahead to talk about the US tech as well. On the US tech, we were able to make some money yesterday on the US tech as price moved as expected. We saw the breakout of that trend line here, and price came back to do a retest, and boom, it went to the upside, and we were able to make some money here. And in response to that, how do we take advantage of a trend of an opportunity this week? We scaled down to the 15 minutes time frame, and we were able to identify a buy zone around this point. After using this impulsive move to the upside, we were able to identify this buy zone, which is around the 50 and the 78.6% of the previous impulse leg. So what we want to be doing here is this: if price breaks below the 13,290 level and comes into the buy opportunity zone, what we want to be looking forward to is a reversal pattern within this area to take advantage of a trend continuation to the upside. And if we have a break above from this level, break above the 13,290, and price comes back to do a retest of this level, that could welcome also add another position to this trade as we ride the rally into the upside. And our take profit target still remains between the 13,410 area and 13,350 area. Now, the other scenario I also mentioned here is that if price does not break below the 13,290, well, we still have another opportunity to take a buy opportunity. That is, if we cite a reversal pattern here, that is, for example, if it's a double bottom structure, price comes back, does a retest the second time, then a breakout retest of structure should give us a confirmation to join the rally into the upside. So that is the scenario we are looking forward to on the US tech. Then we went on to talk about the USDCHF, where we already in profit in the USDCHF. But I told you the first thing I said here on the USDCHF is that we should move our stop loss to somewhere around here at this point. And the reason why that is if we look left, we can see that level has been a major significant factor in determining where price action is heading. And you can see lately, early hours of today, we saw multiple rejection of that level. So right above that level seems most appropriate to place our stop loss, and let's see how price action will relate with that level. Now, if price action breaks above that level, then what happens is this: that means this area has become a reversal pattern, that is, it has become a double bottom structure. So if you have a breakout of that level, well, you all guess right, price have to come back to give us a retest of the neckline of that reversal pattern so that we can join the trend continuation to the upside, with a take profit target sitting around the 0.96700 area in the meantime. However, if price breaks below the previous structure here, that is this demand zone here, if price breaks below that demand zone, then we are good to go, and then we have to ride on to our take profit target. So if price breaks below that level, a retest of that level with patterns on lower time frame could welcome us to add another position to the existing trade as we ride take profit target into the bearish trend line here on the USDCHF. Then we went on to deliberate on the GBPCAD, I guess, yes, GBPCAD, where I told you I'm expecting a bullish momentum here. And to make our job easier, I was able to identify a key level at 1.56350 area, which is right above the previous supply zone. So we want to see price take out all the selling position, that is giving us further signal that we are no longer going to be selling the pounds against the Canadian dollar, to give me that confirmation. So what I'm looking forward to is a breakout of that level, which also shares a confluence with the bullish trend line here, and then a retest of either the bullish trend line or this level, the key level at 1.56350, gives me further confirmation to join the rally into the upside. And where is our take profit target going to be? I told you we look left, we have a structure to guide our actions. So if we have this level around this here, let's have this area as our first take profit target zone, and let's see how price is going to relate to that level. If we have a breakout of that structure, then we wait for confirmation in the form of a retest of structure to join that rally. So this is the scenarios we have today. I think I've taken all the pairs we talked about today, and I hope we are geared up towards the New York session. Remember, we are not getting too excited at the sight of a signal, especially during this non-farm payroll. You know, I shared with you during the beginning of the session, we have quite a couple of events coming up in the next 30 minutes. That's the non-farm payroll and the Canadian net change in employment and Canadian unemployment rate. So let's see how price action will play out during those periods. Be mindful of all these bullish, these engulfing moves, these sharp moves. Those are just signals, so we wait for confirmations. When those signals happen, we wait, we breathe in, breathe out, wait for confirmation in the form of a retest of that structure. Then we join the potential momentum. So this is what we are going to be looking forward to today. So we're able to talk about how many pairs today. We talked about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 beautiful pairs we talked about today, and that's quite a lot of opportunities that we could juggle through to look for trading opportunities this during the New York session today. So thank you very much for being with me today. I really appreciate every moment with you guys. It has been fun, and since today is going to be the last day, I want to wish you a wonderful weekend and best of luck during the New York session. So on this note, I wish you a goodbye and see you on Monday, same time, 11 a.m. West African time, 10 a.m. UTC, same place, Extreme Speed Live. Introduce your friends to this app. Let them download Extreme Speed Live app on their phone so that they can join us here, and let's look at the market together one more time. See you on Monday, and bye.